I think we should start.
Right, please
Auzubillahi
go ahead.
minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Laqad khalaqnal insana fi kabad. Respected Dr. Qazi Azher sir and all my friends, those who have joined this online lecture from several parts of the country as well as throughout the world. Welcome to all of you on behalf of MTB, Markazi Talimi Board, and several other philanthropic organizations, those who are rendering their services for the upliftment of community. And the basic motive of all organization is to enhance several kinds of skills, potentials, and talents, and to provide outstanding platform for rendering their services. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in Quran Majid that لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. It means that we have created the men or the humanity to strive, मशक्क़त करने के लिए, हार्ड वर्क करने के लिए, स्ट्राइव करने के लिए हमने इंसान को पैदा किया है. So we should not isolate ourselves in comfortable zones, whatever the age we are having, whatever the potentials and time we are having with us. All these should be rendered for the cause of humanity. So Markazi Talimi Board MTB has different kinds of activities, and one of the activities of them is to enhance several kinds of skills of the teachers, especially, as well as all other stakeholders in education are also addressed here. Dear brothers and sisters, I welcome to all of you on behalf of this organization. We all have gathered here today to share our different kinds of thoughts, and the valuable lecture will be delivered by Dr. Qazi Azhar sir. We all know that in our education field, one, uh, one of the very important name is Dr. Qazi Azhar sir. Now he is rendering his services in Michigan University. We all know that he has completed several kinds of degrees, not only in medicine, but also in education field. He has completed outstanding degree of Bachelor of Education, which is one of the famous and very popular type of degree in our Indian region, Indian subcontinent, as well as he has pursued his post graduation in medical sciences, basic sciences, and some other types of degrees. He's also having all these types of degrees. What I want to say is that I am not eligible, or I am not having that kind of skill to present his introduction. His introduction actually requires lot of time, and you all will see that what type of thing and what type of technique and skills he is having to inculcate these values of educational learning, how to overcome different kinds of gaps of a parent and a child, a parent, a teacher, and a child, as well as the gaps between the society and the learners. So we are going to learn these all techniques and things from him. So today's title is how to make ourselves empower regarding the neurosciences in education. Actually, we are going to harness ourselves because of his outstanding lecture today. I will ask, I will request him to deliver his thought on the topic, that is power of neuroscience in education. So, sir, I am handing over you the mic. You are requested to please deliver your lecture. बहुत सारे यहाँ पर उर्दू जुबान से वाकिफ लोग भी हैं यहाँ पर, गरचे के मैंने अंग्रेजी में थोड़ा सा आपका इंट्रोडक्शन और तज़किर करने की कोशिश की है. धीरे धीरे लोगों का मिजाज ऐसा है कि आहिस्ता आहिस्ता ज्वाइनिंग करते रहते हैं. हमारी अभी तक की तकरीबन एक 80 के आसपास पार्टिसिपेंट ज्वाइन हो चुके हैं, और ये तादाद इंशाल्लाह और बढ़ती रहेगी थोड़ा थोड़ा धीरे धीरे जिस तरह से लोग आ रहे हैं। आपसे हमारी रिक्वेस्ट ये रहेगी, दरख्वास्त ये रहेगी कि आप जो है एक ऐसे माहौल में जहाँ पर बहुत बड़ा लर्निंग गैप स्टूडेंट्स और टीचर के दरमियान पाया जाता है, ये गैप ना सिर्फ लर्निंग लेवल का है बल्कि अंडरस्टैंडिंग का भी है, लैंग्वेज का भी है, कंसेप्चुअल क्लैरिटीज का भी है, और बहुत सारे चीज़ों का गैप है। So how we are going to overcome, how we are going to bridge up this gap? We want to learn these kind of techniques. We have very selected type of teachers, as it is our one of the phenomena that we deliver the lecture or we provide different kinds of resource person to the teachers, those who are very interested to learn and to get something. Okay, sir, you are requested to please proceed yourself.
Thank you very much. Are you able to hear me? Is it okay? The sound is
Sir, it is very
hello?
clear. You can
Okay.
proceed.
Yeah, okay. Inshallah. Um, Welcome to my presentation. Um, Eminent teachers, professors, and lecturers in education. It's my privilege to deliver this webinar. Um, um, Everybody, here it is good morning, there I know it is good evening, and Assalamu alaikum, namaskar, sat sri akal, and all the regards to you all. Let me talk about neuroscience. About, you know, last 20, before that, this is my father, and he was also my academic teacher too in school. And marhum Qazi Ahmad Sahab, ये मेरे वालिद हैं. I will try to be bilingual and Urdu as well as in English. And most of my talk will be in English because there are a lot of teachers who speak, who may not speak Urdu or understand. So I just want to tell you about one of the incident which my father had while he was in teaching profession. I used to ask him, tell me about your experience about, how when you were teaching, was there any incident you came across which is memorable and you want to pass on to me? He said, one time I was, giving presentation to the students, and then I thought it was late afternoon. I thought I'm so tired, so I will sit down and ask the boys and girls to open the book and read from this sentence to this sentence, a paragraph, and I'm going to ask you questions. And meanwhile, I will sit down and rest. As I was sitting, I realized that my job is to teach. Am I teaching? No. So the income I'm having by not teaching, how, if God asks me, what did you do? You were, what I'm going to answer to God? And then he stood and started giving presentation. इसको कहते हैं अकल हलाल की कमाई. और this was a very good lesson for me, and I always think about what he advised indirectly to me. So with that, let's talk about today's objectives. Neuroscience in last 20 years, it progress leaps and bounds. See, now in the past, we used to talk about psychology of education, philosophy of it. Philosophy completely disappeared. But still in India, in the B.Ed and M.Ed curriculum, we have both psychology of education and philosophy of education. Now, I'm telling this for last 30 years, we should change the B.Ed and M.Ed curriculum. And they have listened to me, and I see some change. Action research has been introduced. Basic research is still not there, which requires a lot of sophisticated equipments and gadgets. But anyhow, so neuroscience and its application in education is big thing nowadays. And how the brain, anatomy of the brain, and the functional component of the brain is so important in teaching and learning. I should say learning and teaching. So you can go over this. I don't want to just read all these. Basically, when we are teach in a profession of teaching and learning, we should be brain compatible. So with that, I get a lot of magazines, and the author sent me a lot of educational books. And recently, within 2 months, I got so many books. And this is the cultivating a classroom of calm. Basically, how to discipline your classroom. This has been sent to me just yesterday, and looks interesting. Before that, I'd like to introduce Dr. Judy Willis. I know her. She is a board certified neurologist. There are only few physicians who are educators. You can count on your fingers, and she's one of them. And she practiced for 15 years as a neurologist. And now, for last 10 years, she is a teacher in a middle school. You can see uh, how much she loves teaching. Since she's a neurologist, same thing happened to me when I was medical doctor. I learned nervous system, brain. Then I was trying to connect with uh, education, teaching, pedagogical methodology. So, and now she is a leading authority in the neuroscience of learning. She has written 9 books and 200 articles. And Dr. Lawrence Lowry, he is my best friend, and now he is no more. He was in university in California, and he was the one who first introduced, um, you know, uh, a curriculum which is based on cognitive development of the brain. I had very good communication with him. Recently, in 2019, he had a pancreatic cancer. He passed away. But I learned a lot from him too. So let's go to it. You all have gone through psychology courses, and still I see a lot of teachers take post graduation in psychology. But I think India is about 30 years backward in the recent information about education and recent theories of educations. And the most important, within the last 20 years, neuroscience of education has taken so much part in improving the quality of education. So now, in the past, the brain was not open, which we call black box, where like black box of a aeroplane. If something happens, we don't know what is in there. So we open the black box and listen to how this plane crashed. Same thing We didn't know the black box here was the brain. So, but we knew what goes in that black box and what it comes out of the black box. So there was an input, and input was five senses, and also higher functions like thinking, calculating, and all those. And um, but we didn't know what are the changes which are happening in the in this black box or the brain. So, but we knew the output. Oh, this question and answer may improve the if the teachers put questions to the students in a way that they can respond. Oh, that gives a better uh, learning for the student. That was, but we didn't know what is happening, what areas of the brain are stimulated, what's happening in the brain. So now with neuroscience, that black box is open, and now the brain has come out. And we know a lot of things about brain. We study in medicine, but we want that uh, you know to be part of our educational colleges and universities, department of educations, and introduce this into curriculum. So there are different areas of the brain. The most important is the frontal brain. The frontal brain is the seat of higher function. When we say higher functions, like reading, writing, cognitive functions, and talking and calculating, predicting, if I do this, this will happen. All this is the seat in frontal brain. And the rest of the brain, we do have a speech center, like reading comprehension, and the other one, which is called Wernicke's area. This is Wernicke's area, where sensory speech develops, and then this is the motor. When you sense that you are going to speak something, then the motor area or Broca's area will uh, move the muscles in the larynx, and from the lung, the air is pushed out, and you say words, sentences, talk, all these things. So you have to know all these things. Um, we have to learn about brain before teaching. What is the brain of a 4-year-old child versus a 13-year-old child versus an adult? There is big differences, So we are going to talk, and then there are some important, areas in the brain, uh, like this one, hippocampus. Hippocampus is the seat of memory and learning, and same thing with the amygdala here. So it is very important. I'm not going to go in details. And another thing which I want to tell you, um, I'm sorry that I can't see your text. I may ask questions, but I will respond the answer myself. So this is the cross section of the brain. This is the brain. When you take cross section, here is the precentral gyrus, which is motor activity, and this is postcentral gyrus. This is the central gyrus. It runs in the center of the brain. It's like a cleft, and so gyri are the elevated areas. Troughs are the like sulci are the trough. So parietal lobe is the sensory area, and this is the in the parietal lobe you have post-central gyrus, which is sensory area, precentral, which is motor area. And when you take a section from here, you will see that the entire body is represented on this, either it is motor or sensory. And if you look at this, you can see the hand is the most uh, larger area in that in the brain. This is interesting. Hand has the most area, whether it is sensory or motor. This is, we have an application to our education. A child learns better when there is a hands-on activity. Remember this. Here, very little. What we teach nowadays, through the ear, give lecture. There is a saying, एक कान से सुनो, दूसरे कान से बाहर. This is exactly when now when they don't understand, they listen. दूसरे कान से बाहर तो नहीं आता, लेकिन they don't understand. So what they do? They memorize. Does memorize help? No. So there should be hands-on activity. All right. And I want to give a little information about brain. Even though it is 2% of the body weight, but it consumes 20% of the calories of our body. And the another thing, when the child is born, a neonate, he has about 100 billion neurons. Neurons are nerve cells. And that is the total asset the child is going to have in his life. 100 billion neurons. As he ages or she ages after adulthood, we may lose some neurons. Neurons do not regenerate. Now there are studies that some of the neurons can regenerate, and most of the time there is loss of neurons. Okay, so somehow we have to adjust our knowledge, acquiring knowledge with those 100 billion neurons. And how tiny, how small these neurons are. कितने छोटे हैं. आपकी सुई का नाका होता है यहाँ पर, उसके ऊपर जो है 250 न्यूरॉन 250,000 neurons can be placed. उसके ऊपर 250,000 असबी खलिए उस पर आ सकते हैं. No, I'm sorry, that per minute, that is the growth. 30,000 neurons can fit on the tip of the needle. Brain produces 250,000 neurons per minute before birth. Is how fast the multiplication or cell division is in neurons. But once the child is born, it stops. Another important thing we all should remember, each neuron can connect to 5,000 to 10,000 neurons. See, this is a neuron or nerve cell or asabi khaliya or uska markaza, nucleus, and there are projection on the body of the neuron. These are called dendrites. And then there is an axon, and the axon is covered by myelin sheath, which is a fat sheath, so that the electrical impulses which are generated in the neuron should not disperse around and should not stimulate another neuron, so that because it is this is like an electric wire. It is insulated with the plastic or conducting material. Why? Otherwise it will short circuit. So the same thing could happen. So this neuron with the axon communicates with the other neurons. And how it communicates? Through the dendrites. So most of the proliferation, most of the growth of brain after a child is born is because of dendritic proliferation. So it increases in size. So axonic terminals also proliferate and communicate. So it is understanding or acquiring a knowledge is connected to this connectivity of axons and dendrite. One neuron communicates with the other neuron communicates with more of the other neurons. So let's see, you know, how that black box has uh, opened up, which was what we call his brain. And there are types of brain imaging. Everybody know about MRI. MRI takes the picture of the brain. But there is one MRI which is called functional MRI. When you are doing something, thinking, talking, we can take series of pictures and see where is the activity in the neurons, what portion of the brain is lighted up. So that is done. I'm not going to go in detail how it is. We inject a dye that recognizes deoxygenated hemoglobin. Hemoglobin carries the oxygen to the nerve cells, and if the nerve cell is active, it acquires that hemoglobin with oxygenation. So where the neuron is active, they lose that oxygen. They get deoxygenated. So we can capture that, and so through the MRI. So this is called function. There are all other methods. In the past, we used to do EEG, which is electrical encephalogram. Electroencephalogram. EEG was the main, the gadget through which we were trying to do research what goes on in the brain. But now the more better and better these imaging devices have come. So this is the brain. See, now look at there are different areas. I talked about Broca's area, Wernicke's area, and all that thing. Temporal lobe is with the auditory, and also in the same area inside is hippocampus, which is with the memory and all that kind of thing. So now look at this. Seeing a word. If you ask a person to read a word, what area? When you are looking at the book, you are seeing. The occipital lobe is the area where seeing visual information goes. So it has a visual cortex, see, that is lighted up. As soon as he look at the word, the occipital area, and then when he reads, he hears. So this area is auditory area, hearing area, that lights up. And then it generates words. I said that Broca's area is the one which formulates through the vocal muscles and laryngeal muscles, and a sound is produced, and that is in the Broca's area right here. Look at this. And now he starts speaking words. So you can trace the function, what function the individual or the student is doing, you can trace back to the brain. So many connections in the brain, and you can rotate. Now you can rotate and see what part of the brain, and so all these things you can visualize. This was the older method, EEG, electroencephalogram, and this is more functional MRI, where the person or the child calculates or do some mental work, and then we take all the slices, like we have taken the slices right here. Okay, so and then we study. So different areas of the brain are stimulated. When there is a good communication between the uh, brain of a teacher and the brain of a child or a learner, we call learners. We are all learners. You know, child is a learner in a classroom. Teacher is also a learner, whether whatever he is teaching making sense to the students. If it is not making, he bring changes in his methodology. And then he learns that, oh, this method is not working. Let's try the other method. You may say, oh, I'm just talking to them and they're kind of sleeping. And it could happen. So, so you change your methodology and you go on hands-on inquiry-based methodology. I'm putting a lot of terminologies which needs further explanation. And today is going to be mostly basic information I'm giving you. And each subject, hands-on inquiry-based, it needs one hour presentation. So, but anyhow, it will give you some idea what here the same thing. You know, while somebody was reading, see how it lighted up the occipital area, and then how the auditory area got lighted up, how it is transformed to from the vernix area to Broca's area, and then he interpreted this, he understood this. So the frontal area is a cognitive area, frontal lobe, as I mentioned. So, and there are different, I'm not going to go in detail of this. And of course, this is how when for example, a child is asked to do some function, mathematical or anything. So then this MEG records that all the information. And this is PET scan, which is positron emission tomography. That also helps us. A lot of devices to read the brain while it is functioning. So now, what is neuroscience? Neuroscience is is the study of the brain, of the nerve cells in the brain. We say mind. You know, what is mind? Nobody knew what is mind. Now we know that neuroscience explains more about our mind. What is intelligence? Nobody knew about intelligence. We talk about multiple intelligence. Nobody saw what is going on in there. These are all postulations. You know, at this point, I just want to let you know that, you know, Piaget's theory of, cognitive development. Everybody, I think you call Piaget. Actually, it is Piaget. So, of cognitive development, sensory motor development, and all those. This is outdated theory. But yeah, for historical aspect, you can learn this theory. That's fine. And then came the Bloom's taxonomy. Oh my God. Everybody was talking about Bloom. That was, up till 2001, and, Bloom modified version of the Bloom's taxonomy came. And there are, that itself requires, if our organizers permits, we can talk about this on intelligence. So then came Gardner's theory and of multiple intelligence. That is also was a postulation. It was just theory, and now that is also outdated. And I see that in India, a lot of teachers talk about MI, multiple intelligence, and all those things. So now the neuroscience has come up, and how the learning takes place, how the brain changes during learning, how a 4-year child is different from a teenager, adolescent brain. Adolescent brain, I can spend a couple of webinars on that, couple of hours on that. It is quite interesting, how the things have changed completely in education in last 20 years. So learning and teaching through brain is, a mind is in the brain, okay, but brain is not in the mind. So you have to understand the brain to learn how people learn. And first of all, the teachers have to learn what is learning. So neuroscience helps you in this. And what is the natural way of learning? How does the brain enjoys learning? It is it is through the curiosity or the inquiry and hands-on activities. You can see this normally in your children. Actually, education is very interesting. That's how I got interested, because I was almost failing in seventh grade. And then I got good teachers in eighth grade. I learned English in eighth grade, because till then I was completely, you know, जैसे बोलते हैं ना कि उबूर हासिल हो गया था अपनी मादरी जबान पर. Now you can understand and correlate with your mother tongue foreign languages. This is absolutely wrong if you teach your kids right from the kindergarten. So well, that's another one. Mother tongue. Why mother tongue is important? Why, you know, that's another webinar or lecture. Okay. So basically, let's go to this. In the past, we used to think, um, you know, lap, a mother's lap is the first school. No, the mother's womb, the uterus, is the first school for the child. There's a lot of learning going on. And that's why, if you should start teaching the baby, which is not yet born, when the baby is in the belly, in the womb, here the mother is reading a book, a story to the child. Is he listening? Yes, he's listening. And when the child has, uh, you know, the age of intrauterine or in the womb, about 6 months, uh, he starts listening. Why? Because the external ears are formed. ये जो बैरूनी कान है वो और कान का पर्दा बन जाता है. तो जो भी माँ बात करती है वो कंडक्ट होती है उसके एमनियोटिक फ्लूइड से, वो कान तक पानी में. वो जो एमनियोटिक फ्लूइड है, जो बच्चे के अतराफ होता है, उसमें लहरें पैदा होती है. उससे जो है वाइब्रेशन से वो बच्चे के कान का पर्दा जो होता है वो भी वाइब्रेट होता है. नाउ इट स्टार्ट्स लिसनिंग. नॉट ओनली mother's spoken words, the kid listen, but also anybody surrounding, siblings or father or anybody, the baby starts learning, listening to it. And now the speech center in the brain starts developing. See? So there is a lot of learning going on while the baby is in. It has been researched and found out that those kids, those mothers who took care of the kids while they were pregnant, talking to them and saying, reading books, and their vocabulary has become good even after birth. So we have to remember this, and there are a lot of information I'm giving you here. Uh, um, the baby feels, it learns. This is mother's touching to me. You could see the movement of the baby from a mother's belly, kicking and hand movements and all that. So at that time, if you put uh, your hand and try to massage a little bit, उसको जो है थोड़ा सा उसको हाथ से उसको सहलाएं, तो that baby calms down. feels happy. So already more movement itself is very important. Uh, if there is a change in the the blood or the tissue in the mother's womb, the baby can feel it. So this is very important. So and mother could exercise, not like lifting heavy weight, just exercise, walking, and some movements and all that. That helps in blood circulation. When the blood circulation increases, the circulation of blood in the baby also increases, and more oxygen is carried, more nutrients are carried to the baby, and that will uh, enhance the brain development, memory. Like these kids can recognize, as I said, the mother is speaking or father is speaking. So that improvement will be seen in memory. About this one, about 40% is increased if you interact with the baby. I can spend more time on this, but let's go to the next one. Now, everybody talks about education, and today's talk is about brain education. So the act of teaching, this is the Google definition, and the act of teaching knowledge to others and act of receiving knowledge from someone else. Here, teaching and receiving, this is what they are calling education. Oxford Dictionary goes a little beyond and says that a process of teaching, training, and learning, especially in school, colleges, and university. Well, before I told about, how this nerve cell is neuron and axon and dendrites and all those things. One neuron connects with the other neuron through uh, axons and dendrites. Actually, if this is a neuron and this is another neuron, the axon comes and attached to the dendrites. And this happens to all the dendrites. So they proliferate. So, but anyhow, where the axon and dendrites are meeting, they do not actually meet. There is a space called, the junction is called synapse, and the space is called synaptic space. And here, when the electric stimulation occurs to the axon, and when it comes here, it gives a signal, electrical signal, to these small vesicles which have neurotransmitters like acetylcholine, dopamine, and all those kinds of things. So those vesicles release some neurotransmitter chemical substances, and they go and bind to the receptors on the dendrite. The message which was sent, go to school, goes to the other dendrite. And then the muscles are stimulated and the child is now walking. So this is very important. You have to understand it. It's so important that Scientific American, which is a research journal, very well known. So on synapses, there was a whole issue of this magazine, the language of the brain. And as I said, mother tongue is the language of the brain. Don't ever try to torture your kids by putting them in foreign language schools. They do not understand. They don't understand. So I'm going to, like here, one of the student, Malone, these kids are going to mother tongue school. Look at this school. They are running. They are happy. And look at the one who goes to foreign language school. Oh, they don't want to go. Some of them lost hope and drowned, and some dragged themselves, and only few be successful. That's why we did not produce yet Sir C.V. Raman after the independence of India. Why? What are we doing wrong? So I always say the education is the concept. Learning is the concept, not a language. You think that English is going to give you a Nobel Prize? No. Dr. Caitlin, the one who discovered, invented the COVID vaccine, she was Hungarian. She studied up to PhD in Hungary. There was another one, attoseconds, another Hungarian physicist who got, again, recently, Nobel Prize. Why? Hungary has 10 million population. Each state language have, I don't know how many, 50 million, 60 million. Why we can't produce such, intellectuals in our, this is the problem. So important thing, as I said, neuronal connections. I will show you something. When, before learning, there were some neurons which were not connected. And then you started learning. And these neurons get connected through axons and dendrites. Okay? The new concept is introduced. Now the child understands because the new connections have developed. And then look at this. These connections are actually increasing. And now the kid has understanding, and then further more connections are developing, and now has mastery. So in the beginning, presentation, later on, explanation, and the practice. The presentation is self-presentation, not by the teachers. Hands-on inquiry-based methodology. The kid has to become curious. When he becomes curious, he will find out this iron is hot. I should not touch. That's the thing. If you are telling this is hot, don't touch it, they'll listen and okay. This is what happens in sports. Kids enjoy sports because they are involved in it. We don't make them involved in education, in learning. So that's that. And when they practice, keeps on doing it, it reinforces and they become master, and then they apply that knowledge to the other. So this is how the dendritic proliferation takes place, axonic proliferation. This is better side than this one. So educated brain, those with more connections, better withstands destructive attacks of Alzheimer's disease, dementia, forgetfulness. In the past, like when I was growing, there were not that many, dementic patients. There was not that much. Now I see so much dementia. Is this because of we are trying to have schooling in our foreign language? I'm so upset when I see these parents and even teachers' kids are going to foreign language schools. This is not just English. I went to Morocco recently, Marrakesh, French. They put their kids in French. Their mother tongue is Arabic. I told them, addressed them, said that forget about it. And now they are doing it, signs, nameplates, road signs, first in Arabic, next in French. Next line in French. But here, we don't care. Why not in Telugu first and then English? Urdu first, English, and gradually forget about those English. English is not going to help us. Yeah, as a one subject, you can learn many language after you mastered your own language, mother tongue. Okay, let's go. Here is it. Education, a process of learning. Look at this. Who is the educator here? Of course, this lady, she's trying to teach something. These are paddy fields, by the way. Here it has become like brownish or yellowish. Now it is the paddy fields are, it gives us rice. Okay, so you could see those small kernels she's rubbing on the hand and trying to tell these kids that how these seeds are now, whether they are ripe or not. and how long it takes. So who is educated? This lady who even did not go to school. This is the field trip in Tamil Nadu. There is there is I actually took the picture from one of the group of Tamil Nadu teachers group. I very usually interact with them, and this is the way the kids learn. They go, see, look at this girl, look at this. Oh yeah, she's saying right. You know, hands-on and query-based. This is what we need. This is my definition of learning: acquisition of knowledge with understanding. Understanding makes you retain the information, retention, and eventually leading to application, which in turn results in creativity and critical thinking. This is very important. That's why we are not producing Sir C.V. Ramans. This is the problem. Okay. How does learning take place? Learning is pattern recognition. If a child sees mother, very happy. When a stranger comes, all of a sudden it starts crying. Why? Because it is recognizing the pattern of the face. And the same thing it does, your cell phone recognizes your pattern and it opens up. This is your face recognition. If I tell you what it is, please tell me when, when I'm supposed to be done. I can go on for hours like this. This is a bird which I show, which is not seen in India. And most of these, most of the people in India doesn't recognize this because it has certain pattern. It is blue, it has some spots, it has a beak, and the belly is kind of, the feathers are white. So this is a pattern which we see. And if an American child sees this, it's, oh, this is blue jay. Okay. But an Indian kid can recognize this. This is a parrot. तोता है ये तो, लाल चोंच है, हरा उसके पर हैं, और इसकी आवाज भी, उसका भी एक पैटर्न है. Mother, when it speaks, it has voice recognition, a pattern. The child remembers, oh, this is my mother. Oh, the car is coming, because we know these patterns. It could be sensory pattern. A blind man can feel and say, what coin is this? What object is this? Because there is a sensory pattern. So patterns recognition. And pattern recognition is also called machine learning. आजकल तो हमको बेवकूफ बहुत बनाया जाता है. हर कोई अपना पावर पॉइंट लिया, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस जब इंसान पैदा हुआ जब से शुरू हुई. Okay, see what happens in artificial intelligence, machine learning, what we call. When you see something like you have seen here before this, machine looks at this pattern and say that, oh, this is Dr. Azher, because his face is like this. And look at the pattern of fingerprint which you use. आजकल स्कूलों में लगाया गया है इंडिया में काफी. Yeah, bio something recognition, whatever you call that. So it recognizes your fingerprint. It will say, oh, this is a loop, or this is a circle, or it's a mixed one. And oh, he has so many lines here. So it recognizes, oh, this is Dr. Azher. So this is same thing with the calculator. Calculator recognizes the pattern. 2 plus 2 never fails. It will say always 4. Machine recognition is good when a correct data is put in. And it has been done many. And sometimes this pattern recognition could be deceptive. Like here, there is alligator and crocodile. You may get mixed up because almost they look similar. But if you are very careful, alligators are bigger. Crocodiles are smaller. They have spiny tail. Here there is no spiny. They have bigger jaw. This has a taper jaw. And all these things are nothing but pattern recognition. We learn by pattern recognition. We do not learn by abstract teaching. I'm telling you what we are doing. We are giving code to the students before even they have pattern recognition. This is a first thing. बच्चा पैदा होते ही ए फॉर एप्पल की बुक लाके जितनी मोटी जितनी रंगीन होगी लाके देंगे उसको. वो बच्चा ना कभी ए बोला ना बी बोला, उसको लाके देते. The first thing the child should experience the information, the knowledge. How he does it? आप देखो बच्चे को, कोई चीज दो, आप क्या करता बच्चा? हाथ में लेता, उसको मुंह में डाल लेता, टेस्ट करके. Wants to involve more sensory cells, auditory. फेंकता उसको, आवाज आती उसको, ओ चमचा फेंके तो ऐसी आवाज आती. All these things are very important. Are we teaching these kids like that? There are so many things which we say, A for apple, गांव में एप्पल होता ही नहीं. गांव में जो है इमली का अचार होता. A leaf for imli. So all these things are very important, and we start wrong way the teaching of our kids. Teachers should understand. First, they have to learn in their mother tongue, which is up to 6 years, 5 years. When the child comes to kindergarten, 5 years he spent learning his mother tongue. The street kids, his friends speak in mother tongue. Siblings speak in mother tongue. Father, mother, everybody. All of a sudden, you put him in a foreign language class, and he is lost. The basic thing what he does is rote learning. So please remember, early in the life of a child, textbooks are introduced. We teach through abstract. Okay, this is what happens when the child doesn't know some information. Like this teacher is saying, write H2O. Look at this, what he did. HIJKLMNO. That's what he understood. And look, he is not into. He may have experience in how to use the slingshot. गुलेल कैसा मारना उसको मालूम है. वो H2O क्या मालूम उसको, तो केमिस्ट्री उतना ज्यादा नहीं. तो he wrote down what he felt. So let the students understand the way they understand, the way they feel, which is comfortable. Then they will be coming. So the teacher should teach in a way that what teacher is thinking should be the student thinking. Teacher's brain and learner's brain should be compatible. Then only learning occurs. The first thing, Leslie Hart was, she was the first one who came up with the brain-based education. And, I showed you Dr. Lawrence Lurie, and he was a good friend of mine. And we have a lot of discussion about this, and that's the turning point. And in early 90s, this was when I came to United States in 1993. So that was the time when this brain-based education movement started. And look at this, how this is, where is the teacher? Right in front, am I right? And trying to talk. The ears are used. At the most, a little bit visual. You can draw some picture on the blackboard. And here are the kids which are doing some hands-on project. And she's writing down the results. What happened? If you put it like this, does it fall? How far it falls? So they are already learning the motion. So young. In United States, right now, a next generation science standard, which is recently developed, and I want to bring this into my if I start, most probably I'm going to start a school in India, in Mysore. So I'm going to bring this entire curriculum in Urdu. And inshallah, the same thing could be done in Telugu, Marathi, whatever language, Kannada. So, uh, so once we do this project-based learning, we have to change the whole curriculum, because the kids are going to do a project like a researcher and scientist, and that way the curiosity make them learn. Their hands-on activity makes them learn, and that will be permanently in long-term memory of the uh, students. So that is very important. See here, this is a brain-compatible classroom, and the teacher is saying "yerdu" in Kannada, two, and the kid's mother tongue is Kannada, and he's saying "yerdu" means two, do, randu, rondu, I think in Telugu. So the child is learning already, knows two fingers. And if you tell them, go and grab me two pencils, he will go and or she will go and grab two pencils in her mother tongue. And when the kids have learned their mother tongue, you teach any language, they will learn, and they can compare it. This is how the language learning takes place, human brain. And last thing I want to just remind you this. Sorry that I think I'm 5 minutes over time, but this is just the basic information I want to give you. This is called windows of opportunity. When the child is in the uterus or in the belly, in the womb, uh, it started learning right here in the later third trimester of the pregnancy. Look at this sensory pathway, vision, even eyes are open inside. They may not be able to see, but eyes are open. Okay. And then the language develop already. And here is the higher cognitive function, because learning the language, even though he cannot speak, but already learning the language. And look at this. The peak is in language is when when the child is almost like six months, 7 months, even though he's not able to speak, but he has the vocabulary. And once he starts speaking, my God, you will be amazed how smart that kid, will be in vocabulary. Okay. The higher cognitive functions too. And it goes on, it kind of declines after 10 years, and 18 years, it's almost declining. So this period from here, before birth, to after birth, somewhere around 10, 12 years is very important. It's very, very important. Don't lose this. And particularly in villages, parents put their kids into child labor. They will be making bidi, or they will be making agarbatti, or picking up, if there are boys, they go out, pick up metals or plastics and all those kinds of. Don't send them if you really want to educate them. Particularly in Urdu schools, they do this, because English schools, they charge fees in thousands, and they are happily providing. On the other hand, the most important learning will take place in mother tongue, and those kids are not coming to the mother tongue schools. They are ruining their generations. We are ruining our generations. This is very important. Now you can see motor, of course, baby is moving before birth, and now it continues. And you could see here, after uh, 7 to 18 years, it faded. So whatever sensory and motor activities are there, it should be learned before this year. And basic vocabulary. See, up to 3 years. Have you? So preschool is so important. Second language only develops after birth, and it continues, and it becomes stronger after you acquire your mother tongue. So people, I studied up to 10th in Urdu medium. And in 8th grade, I was able to read physics and chemistry in English because my English teacher was good and he taught me very good English. Music, sense of music develops, enjoys later part after 3 years. Social attachment is right from the beginning because the kid starts recognizing if you say happily to the child, you could see smiling. If you get upset at the child, he starts crying. Why? That social attachment, that pattern in your voice tells him. He may not understand the word, the pattern of angriness tells the baby. So with this, I think I have said enough. And what in the last I'm going to say, every end is a new beginning. Like this guy, he thought that, oh, our solar system is the only one. But when he looks at the galaxy and all these Milky Ways, there are a whole lot of things. So my talk is just the scratch on the surface. There are more information I can provide you in future. Thank you very much. I'm sorry that I surpassed a little more time. And if there are any questions, I will take it.
किसी को अगर सवाल करना है तो प्लीज सवाल कीजिए.
जी जरूर.
We are unable to listen to your lecture, sir. Very informative. I really enjoy your lectures, and this lecture has been little different and very nice. This is regarding learning of children. Like आप जिस तरह बता रहे थे कि अभिमन्यु ने अपनी वालदा के पेट में अपने उसके शिकम में उन्होंने जो रास्ता सीखा सुना था उसके बारे में और उसके आगे का उन्होंने नहीं सुना, तो वो शायद वो तय नहीं कर पाए. उसी तरह दिस इज वन इन वन मिथोलॉजी ऑफ इंडियन एपिक. नाउ सिमिलरली अपने हजरत पीरा ने पीर जब वालदा के शिकम में थे तब ऐसा कहते हैं कि वालदा बहुत कुरान पढ़ती थी. ये मैंने सुना है. शायद इफ यू ऑल आर मोर लर्नर्ड देन मी और इफ यू हैव हर्ड, आई थिंक आई एम वेरी लेस इन माय नॉलेज इफ आई से कुड से. सो जब उनके उस्ताद उनको 4 साल की उम्र होने के बाद उनकी वालदा उन्हें अरबी की तालीम या कुरान की तालीम देने के लिए जब उन्हें मौलवी साहब के सामने ले गए, तो वो बच्चा जो है 13 पारे तक हिफ्ज करके, ये बात सुनी भी, कई लिखी हुई भी मैंने पढ़ी है चंद किताबों में, 1-2 किताब में. तो द मदर वुड मेमोराइज द कुरान हाफिज हिफ्ज करते हुए, तो बच्चे ने वो सुनकर बच्चे का हाफिजा हुआ ऐसा. तो इट्स वेरी मच ट्रू इन बुक्स, इन epics or in what you say, whatever historical proofs or they present. Now that people are doing it through MRI and all these and through scanning, and doctors like Qazi, Azher, they correlate this historic event. Sir, you in your next lectures, I would like to listen something. You have such a good knowledge of pedagogy as well as the medicine, field of medicine. So a little bit of that also, if you could include, it would be much better. And your idea of starting a school, really, I liked it very much. I cherish it because I'm into this field of teacher of education since long, more than 30 years, 3 decades. And from when I was a student of PG after that. And I really liked your lecture. We are very much thankful on behalf of all the participants, on behalf of Manu and myself. I wish you good health and wish that you impart more of such knowledge to all learners like us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate, I know you, by the way. And सिद्दीकी साहब को भी मैंने कहा था, उनको भी जो है टैग किया था, तो शायद वो शेयर किए हैं मानू के एजुकेशन डिपार्टमेंट से भी. तो बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, आपने मेरा ये छोटी सी कोशिश को पसंद किया. और इंशाल्लाह, in future we will do that. And this is the thing, historical aspect, definitely, every religion and mythology has definitely some incidents where the the mothers were talking to the baby, and you can Bibi Fatima, this is in a hadith, ये hadith में है कि बीबी फातिमा जब बच्चे को अपने माड़ी पर रख कर थपकती थी तो उनको जो है कुरान सुनाती थी, कुरान की आयतें सुनाती थी। और अनदर थिंग विच आई डिड नॉट मेंशन अबाउट दैट, ये जो गोद में रखकर जो मांडी से हरकत देते हैं हम बच्चों को, या झूला देते हैं, जैसे देखे होंगे पत्थर फोड़ने वालियां जो जो सड़क बनाने के लिए वो बच्चों को अपनी कपड़े में जो है रख के उसको हिलाती रहती हैं, या नहीं तो अपने पीठ पे जो है बंध लेती हैं, जब वो हरकत करती हैं तो वो उनका उनका जो है दिमाग भी हरकत। तो इसको बोलते हैं कि लैब्रेंथाइन स्टिमुलस, जो बैलेंसिंग ऑर्गन है हमारे ईयर में, उसका मूवमेंट जो है मेक्स द किड्स मोर स्मार्टर। Okay, so but definitely I'm going to do, it's my pleasure that the faculty from the Manu has attended my this seminar. It is actually ये क्या कहना चाहिए उर्दू में, ये हिम्मत अफजाई है मेरे लिए, और थैंक यू वेरी मच।
आज के दौर में भी सर कई सारे बड़े घरों में भी बच्चों को ऊपर टांग कर पुरानी साड़ियां मजबूत जो होती हैं उसमें बच्चों को झुलाते हैं। दे से दैट द एंटायर बॉडी which is cartilaginous, it gets very much molded, and the body, when it gets exercise, the child in that moment of oscillation, the child gets sound sleep, good sleep, ड्यू टू ऑसिलेशन, झूला झूला जैसा होता, तो सारा नर्वस सिस्टम, पूरी बॉडी का सर्कुलेशन अच्छा होता, बच्चे की सेहत अच्छी होती। आज भी घरों में ये कर्नाटक में आज भी ये अभी भी है सर, ये इस दौर में भी है वो वाला तरीका। थैंक यू सो मच।
अस्सलाम वालेकुम रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातहू।
वालेकुम अस्सलाम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातहू।
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह डॉक्टर साहब, आपका मैं पहली बार सुना, माशाल्लाह बहुत ही एनलाइटन हुआ। एक्चुअली मेरी एक छोटी सी स्कूल है इकरा एकेडमी बोल के, जो 1 to 8 तक है, जहाँ पर इंग्लिश मीडियम के साथ साथ उर्दू एक सब्जेक्ट हम लोग रखे हैं। लेकिन हम लोगों के जो कौम है, यानी कि एक कम्युनिटी है, मुसलमान, पूरी मुसलमान कम्युनिटी है, वो लोग उर्दू से ज्यादा, जैसा कि आपने अभी स्ट्रेस किया कि मदर टंग में लैंग्वेज दिए तो या तो पढ़ाए तो बच्चों को अच्छा है बोल के, लेकिन हमारे जो कौम का एक मिजाज बन चुका है कि वो इंग्लिश को बहुत प्रेफरेंस देती है, चाहे बच्चा पढ़े या ना पढ़े, समझे या ना समझे, इंग्लिश अगर बात करते हैं एक दो तो बहुत खुश होते हैं। किस तरह आप पेरेंट्स को हम लोग एजुकेट कर सकते हैं इसके बारे में, या किस तरह हम लोग चेंजेस ला सकते हैं कौम में?
जी जी, दिस इज बिकॉज ऑफ इग्नोरेंस। उनको पता नहीं है ना। तो अब हमको, पहले मैं क्या करता था, पहले जब भी मैं इंडिया आता था आज से 32-33 साल पहले, तो मुझे क्या करते थे, बच्चों को लाकर सामने बिठा देते थे, डॉक्टर साहब कुछ नसीहत करिए आप, गिव देम सम एडवाइस, सम हिंट्स हाउ टू स्टडी एंड ऑल दैट। तो आई डिडंट लाइक दैट, यू नो, आई मीन बच्चे तो बच्चे ही हैं बेचारे, वो तो अभी तो लर्नर है। तो आई वांटेड टू एड्रेस टू द टीचर्स। और जब मैं टीचर्स को बोलना शुरू किया तो उस पर भी काफी 20 साल निकल गए उसमें भी, मगर जहां के वहां हर चीज जैसी की वैसी। तो नाउ आई हैव अ डिफरेंट प्लान। व्हाट आई वांट टू एजुकेट द पेरेंट्स। तो मैं जहां भी जा रहा हूं, मैं कहता हूं कि भाई आप, जैसे आप पेरेंट टीचर ये रखते हैं सेशंस, वैसे मेरे लिए रखिए आप पेरेंट्स के साथ। आई विल इंटरैक्ट विद देम, उनके पास क्वेश्चंस होंगे। अब अच्छा, और एक चीज ये, आप खुद एक एग्जाम्पल बनकर जाएं। और वो मुझ में शायद है, क्योंकि मैं उर्दू मीडियम का था, और आज जिस लेवल पे हूँ, यू नो, यहाँ के काउंटी के, यहाँ का जो है मेडिकल एग्जामिनर भी रहा, यहाँ का प्रेसिडेंट भी रहा, वाइस चीफ ऑफ स्टाफ रहा, हॉस्पिटल का चेयरमैन हूँ डिपार्टमेंट का। ये तमाम ओहदे जो है वो किस वजह से मेरे पास आज है, क्योंकि मेरी बेसिक नॉलेज जो इंक्रीज हुई, अंडरस्टैंडिंग जो आई, हमारी फाउंडेशनल एजुकेशन जो थी। इसीलिए नेप जो कह रहा है, नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी भी कह रही है कि फाउंडेशनल एजुकेशन शुड बी इन मदर टंग, चाहे वो तेलुगु हो, कन्नड़ा हो, मराठी हो, उर्दू हो, जो बच्चे घर में बात कर रहे हैं, तो वो ये जरूरी है जब उनको मालूम होगा। अच्छा, और एक चीज ये है कि मैं बहुत, यू नो, माशाल्लाह, देयर आर लॉट ऑफ government school teachers which are very enthusiastic, and I'm seeing now a lot of Urdu schools are getting rank students at the state level. That itself tells that how we are improving. But there are some teachers, they don't even worry about that. But जाकर बोलते हैं कि भैया बच्चों को एडमिशन करो उर्दू स्कूल में, पूछते हैं कि तुम्हारा बच्चा कहाँ कौन से स्कूल में पढ़ रहा है, इंग्लिश मीडियम में ना, हमारे बच्चे उर्दू मीडियम में जाना, तुम्हारे बच्चे अंग्रेजी मीडियम में जाना। टीचर ऐसा होना चाहिए, अपनी गलती को बोलना, मैं गलती करा अम्मा, तुम गलती मत करो। तो ये चीजें जो है इंशाल्लाह वी विल डू दिस एंड वी विल पुट अ मॉडल स्कूल and your school can teachers can spend some time with our school in Mysore, and inshallah I'm coming in September and for 2 weeks, so we'll see. शुक्रिया बहुत बहुत।
बहुत शुक्रिया सर जी। मैं तमाम ही सबसे पहले तो मैं अल्लाह ताला का शुक्र अदा करूंगा। I will offer my thanks to Allah Rabbul Izzat who has given this enormous opportunity to conduct such types of lectures. In future too, inshallah, we will conduct the same type of lectures. और ये एक सीरीज रहेगी, कंटिन्यू मुसलसल रहेगी। इसमें डॉक्टर साहब का भी लेक्चर और इस तरह से हम जो हमारे हम ख्याल लोग हैं उनके लिए पब्लिक चैनल के थ्रू इस तरह के टीचर्स को एम्पावर करने के लिए एक्टिविटीज़ भी करते रहेंगे, सेशंस कंडक्ट करते रहेंगे और बहुत सारी चीज़ें होंगी। आप लोगों के जहनों में और बहुत सारे ख्यालात है, जाहिर सी बात है ये, लेकिन चूंकि ऑनलाइन एक्टिविटी है इस पे बहुत लंबा हम चल नहीं सकेंगे, इसलिए मैं आप सभी से दरख्वास्त करता हूँ कि डॉक्टर साहब का नंबर भी हमारे साथ है, आप उनसे डायरेक्ट भी बहुत सारी बातें शेयर कर सकते हैं। इन फ्यूचर यू कैन मेक डिफरेंट काइंड्स ऑफ कन्वर्सेशन विथ हिम regarding the neurosciences as well as the methodology, content delivery and some other related topics. सर बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका, इतना कीमती वक्त आपका हमने लिया और हमारा मोटो इसमें यही है कि हम टीचर्स को एम्पावर करने में कामयाब हो जाएं। अल्लाह रब्बुल इज़्ज़त आपको जज़ाए खैर दे, और सिर्फ मुल्क भर से नहीं बल्कि मुख्तलिफ किस्म के ममालिक से भी इसमें कुछ लोग हर मसलक मजहब के और दीन के लोग जो है इसमें शामिल रहे। मैं सबका मशकूर हूँ। I am offering my thanks to all type of people who have gathered here throughout the world. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.